You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome.
Good morning, CSL St. George, on this beautiful fall morning. I'm here to do your meditation that goes hand in hand with Reverend Joe's talk today. So I invite you to just relax, and we're going to take 3 breaths. And these breaths are going to be big breaths. And if you feel up to it, just close your eyes. And what I want you to do is create a bubble through the mind's eye, just in front of your head here, and make it as big as you need to with these 3 breaths. Are you ready? Okay, breathe in. One. Bigger. Really big now. And into this bubble, I want you to put everything that you were doing before the service, and I want you to put everything in that you think you have to do after the service. Just put all of that into the bubble for safekeeping. And what I'd like you to do is add things to the bubble. And I'll give you some suggestions. How about all ideas you have of failure? Put all those into the bubble. Just see them pop up in a corner. It doesn't matter where they're at. They may be hidden, they may be there, but just know that they're there. All the reasons you're not good enough or smart enough. All your reasons for not feeling safe or being seen. How about your worst possible outcomes? Put all those in there. Fear of success, let's put that in there. All your feelings of lack in any area of your life. All the reasons you're feeling I'm not good enough. All the ideas of I can't. All the giving in to the status quo that the world is offering you. Just breathe as we're gathering all of these things in this beautiful iridescent bubble. All the outdated past feelings of shame in any way how about all the times I've blamed others for the failures I've experienced? It's not my fault, it was theirs. Just going to place all of that in the bubble. Thinking there's no other way. It's the way it's always been done. Things like that. Just place them all in this beautiful iridescent bubble right in front of your mind's eye. And just breathe. And I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to just think of anything else that you might want to put in there. Any other kind of fear that you may have that wasn't mentioned. Give your time and recognize each one that you put in there as just a thought that you're putting in a bubble. Put in your feelings of fear, lack of wisdom, lack of understanding. How about your inability to move forward? Your ideas of it has to be perfect before I can let it go. Put all that in that bubble. All the times I was forgetful, that I caused harm to someone else and blamed myself. All of these things can go in the bubble. All experiences from conditions that made you the way you are, only you know that. Your fear of speaking, your fear of realizing truth, your fear of change. Just let it all rest in the bubble. Now that we have all of that, I want you to take your finger and I want you to go to just the underneath of that bubble. And I want you to stick your finger in the bubble and it's going to pop. And with it, all of these things are disappearing. They don't exist. All of a sudden, you can't see anything but clear space. It's all gone. Now, as only you can make the bubble, only you can pop the bubble. So just take your finger and don't be afraid and just pop it. Ernest Holmes once wrote, "Words carry the mind forward to a place in thought where realization begins. At this point, the most effective work is done. It is an inward feeling, a silent sense of divine reality." Now, I'm going to ask you to blow out another bubble in front of your mind's eye. We're going to do 3 breaths again. Here we go. Here's another bubble. It's getting bigger. And it's getting bigger. And now it's just huge. And in this bubble, I want you to put all of your dreams, all of your desires, all the things you wish you had done that you had forgotten about. Just place them in this bubble. And along with it, these best scenarios that you can dream up, placing them in this beautiful iridescent bubble. Add the feelings of self-motivation, passion. How about freedom? Courage. The ability to improve the status quo. How about being comfortable with making decisions in the midst of ambiguity? How about strength? Yeah, we could use some strength. How about the ability to acknowledge fear and take action anyway? Resilience, how about that? And any other things that you can think of, add these to the bubble. Consistency, gratitude, being at peace with all that is going on around you in the world. Now I want you to walk into that bubble. That bubble is strong, it is secure, it is safe. Look around at all of your feeling helpers, these banners of words and dreams that are floating around your head. Notice how strong the bubble is that holds you and all of your new attributes. Now open your eyes and have a wonderful service. Namaste.
There's something in the air, the dream of life in love, the minds that rest in prayer, sparking joy we're in awe. No matter where your path has been or time will somehow flies, like souls will come home again, true friendship ever thrives. Is this where the magic happens? Can you feel the hearts revealed right now in you and me? The secret is wherever we are. There's something in a smile that can turn a day around. Moments so worthwhile when we find common ground. No matter what the day might bring, right here we can align, knowing that we will be seen as perfect, whole, divine. find. 'Cause this is where the magic happens. Let's feel all the hearts. From close to me and me to you. The secret is wherever we are. So meet me where the magic happens, healing all the hearts, ignited now in you and me. The secret is wherever, the secret is whenever, the secret is together we are.
Good morning, CSL, and we are delighted to have you with us here today. No matter what time of the day you show up, it's good to have you watching this service. So we're an open, loving, and inclusive community that supports thinking creatively and living a deeply spiritual life. And we have a purpose. Our purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence, to awaken our community to its divine nature and the greatest expression of who we are. Today's service, we have wonderful tech Chris McCardle back with us. He's been gone for a long time at a camp, and he is back and he is raring to go. Thank you, Chris, for being our tech. I'm your host, Stephanie Sterrett, a religious science certified practitioner. And we have Bill Smith, who's also a religious science certified practitioner, doing our invocation. And we have our Alan Stanley as our musician, who does a wonderful, wonderful job. And Anita Sheff, which is also, we have a lot of practitioners here today, religious science certified practitioner, and our wonderful senior minister, Reverend Joe Kovach. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Alan, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Star. By the way, that was a wonderful meditation.
Oh,
that was
thank
great.
You.
The
All
bubble.
Right.
So we'll put the lyrics up. You're welcome to sing along if you'd like. They're mostly for my benefit. I studied with the best of teachers, from winter till fall. Listen to the greatest speakers in the finest of halls. But until I found the silence, I had nothing to show. Because there's more in a quiet moment than I could ever know. I traveled to the farthest corners of this world alone, pondered all the great religions that mankind has known. But until I found the silence, I continue to roam. Because there's more in a quiet moment than I could ever know. There's a place in everybody Just be still and go. Then you'll find in that quiet moment all you've wanted to know. In the silence of our soul is waiting a voice, still and small, in a garden full of joy and loving God made for us all. From the heart our spirit's calling, showing us the way home. There's so much in a quiet moment. Just be still and go.
As we come together this morning, I am aware of the presence of the one true great spirit, the spirit that creates, the spirit that loves, the spirit that is the essence of who I am. And I know as we are all one, I know that this fantastic spirit is the essence of us all. I know that today we're going to talk about failure, but I also know with all of my heart that in the mind of God, there is no such thing as failure. There is no failure in God's eye, only movement. So it's appropriate that our talk today has the ending of forward, because that is the Spirit of God, and that is what drives us. I am grateful for this knowing. I am grateful for this day, and I am grateful for life. I just release my word to the law of God, knowing that it is done and that it is all good. And so it is.
So it is. From the heart our spirit's calling, showing us the way home. There's so much in a quiet moment. Just be still and go. There's a place in everybody. Just be still and go. And you'll find in that quiet moment all you wanted to know. There's so much in a quiet moment. Just be still and know. Now I'd like to invite Anita to read for us today. Hello, Anita.
Hello. I've chosen a reading today from Eric Butterworth, who is one of my favorite New Thought teachers. And this comes from his book, In the Flow of Life. And I chose this lesson because it seems like a good first step to living your dream. Know that there is that in you that knows the right and perfect direction for your life, and affirm that you are now acting under that guiding light. Expect to be guided, and then get in motion. One of the chief causes of stress in life, which gives rise to all sorts of emotional and physical ills, is the pressure of making decisions. The very term "make a decision" implies something that must be personally put together in the workshop of the mind. Actually, there is no need ever to make a decision. The very effort to make the decision tends to frustrate the spontaneous flow of guidance. The only decision you have to make is the decision to begin. The decisions what to do and which way to go should not be made, but they should be discovered. Life is whole and complete, and even when you may be seeing it in part, there's always a right answer in that stream of power and wisdom within. It is that in you that knows beyond your conscious knowing. If you lowly listen, you will hear the right word, and the directions will easily unfold. There is a creative intention working in you. It is a force that transcends mistakes and wrong decisions and makes all things work for good. You cannot really make a wrong choice, a bad decision. Any step you take will lead eventually to your good, because negative experience encountered will produce the challenge in which to outgrow the kind of consciousness from which the choice was made. So a wrong choice is a right choice at that particular time. Knowing this, you are free from the fear of bad decisions. You can stand still and believe there is no decision to be made, only a direction to discover. Let your mind become an instrument rather than thinking of it as the source. Get plugged in and let this fantastic process work for you. In the end, you will not make the decision. The decision will make you.
That's great, Anita. Thank you. That's great. So I made a decision. So the first song I sang was about my travel through life and trying to discover me and using that quiet moment often to do that. And through those meditations and studies, I discovered that I was looking for the kingdom of heaven somewhere else, but I finally discovered it was in me already. And that caused a lot of joy for me. And so one time I was in a congregational meeting with this thought about the kingdom of heaven, and knowing that everybody there felt the same as I did and realized that the kingdom of heaven's already come. And I just got wonderful, joyful that being in that group where we all felt the same. And that inspired this little tune. And please sing along. Can you hear it? Can you see it? Can you feel it? Here it comes. There's a knowing, overflowing, and it touches all who come. It is shining bright and it feels so right as it flows from everyone. There's a light inside that we just can't hide. The kingdom of heaven has come. We can hear it, we can see it, we can feel it as it grows. It is glowing, overflowing, filled with spirit, and it shows. We are shining bright and it feels so right as it flows from everyone. There's a light inside that we just can't hide. The kingdom of heaven's come. They can hear it, they can see it, they can feel it. Here they come. All are singing, love is bringing peace and joy to everyone. All are shining bright and it feels so right as it flows from everyone. There's a light inside that we just can't hide. The kingdom of hell has come. The kingdom of hell has come. We said the kingdom of hell has come. It's here.
Wow, thank you, Alan. That was marvelous. Yes,
Sorry.
the kingdom is here, right here and now. All right. Today, our global theme is Living Everyday Wonder, and today's talk is on failing forward. And I can't wait to hear from Reverend Joe Kovach.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That was a great meditation, Star.
Thank you. I hope it
It
left
was so
everybody.
fun to just pop that bubble.
Yoo-hoo!
And we are free, right? Yeah, it's a great practice. So thank you for sharing that with all of us.
All right.
All right. Good morning, beloved community. It is the end of September already. It's amazing for me to realize anyway how fast time is going, and we are going to be concluding our thoughts of wonder. We've been talking about that all year, this idea of wonder and wonder in work. And work can be a tough talk sometimes, can it? I mean, often depending wherever you are in your life, whether you're doing school work or yard work or whatever our creative expression is, our professional life, that we tend to experience failure. And we're going to take a look at that today. Because it's important to realize that our unique perspective will find our unique view of the life and therefore create those personalized lessons for us that we just heard a little bit about ago. We can look at failure as a negative event. We can look at it as an opportunity to go in a new direction. And what we know is that we, the power that is us, God, spirit within, is greater than anything that is on the outside of us. That we allow that presence, that power, that energy, that essence to be the truth of our life. And therefore, we do our work and we allow it to do its work. And in the book Creative Mind by Ernest Holmes, he says this. He says, we have within us, I need my little laser, shut off. There we go. We have within us a power that is greater than anything we shall ever contact in the outer. A power that can overcome every obstacle in our life. This is where we start every single morning. This is where I start every single morning. That there is a power that is greater than anything we shall ever contact in the outer. Right? That is what we call God, spirit, truth, love, joy. It is everything. It is the one. It is the creator. And it is I am, we are that in expression right here and right now. And that's what I loved about Star's meditation was it kind of took the ego parts of us, the personality parts of us, and the thoughts on what could go wrong, right? Because the God within us, when we're thinking from that clear perspective, it knows it's all good. But we're also living this human life. And so kind of this simple idea, and I'm a visual person, visual learner, so putting everything in this bubble that I don't want to experience, what I call bad or negative, and just popping it. And then what are we left with? We're left with that idea of freedom. We're left with the truth, which is who and what we are. We all experience successes and we all experience failures. I mean, that's just how it is in life. And just as life teaches us to allow, with regards to success, to not let it go to one's head, we also have to be wise enough to not allow our failures to consume us. Think about that for a moment, because I'm sure that we can all think of a time when we've allowed a failure to consume us. Right? Think about that. How many times have we let a failure consume our heart? Completely derail us from something that we really want to experience. And we just, maybe we don't feel like we have the power or the courage or the worthiness, but it's just so hard. And actually, let me flip it. It's almost so easy, it feels like, to focus on what we don't want. And that is what this philosophy is all about, is understanding what we don't want and then changing our thoughts to what we do. And, even when we have the best plan, most of the time things don't go according to plan. And even that, in the eyes of God, as Alan was singing, is perfectly fine. So when failure seems inevitable, when the secret to moving forward maybe seems obscure, we have to recognize, as we've been teaching all year, we don't have to, but we can turn to recognizing that everyday wonder. And we can use it as a guide, as a companion to help us get through, to make that shift from failure to success. But we're even going to look at failure in a different way in a minute here. And the topic, of course, is failing forward. And we're going to find out what that means. And it's interesting that, these talk titles are planned a year in advance. And I'm going to say that I discovered, or created maybe, but I discovered this idea of failing forward a long time ago in my coaching. Counseling. As a school counselor, these kids kept coming to me just with just totally upset whenever things didn't go their way, and I created a program called Failing Forward. So I've been an advocate within my own life and continuing to teach this idea. So I'm really excited because, let's face it, it's one of the biggest obstacles we have is seeing things as a failing and how we feel about that, right? We're the ones that give meaning to anything, and that's an important point here. So once we learn and understand how to work and fail forward, then we can stop giving up, right? We stop giving up when things don't work out, whether it's the first, second, or 10th time. We have this new strength, new mindset to move forward. One way of understanding failure is simply recognizing that there's something to be learned. How many of us ever have looked at our failures in that way? Maybe there's something to be gained. A course of direction, a change of our course of direction that we're on. And this so-called failure is a blessing in disguise, shifting us onto a path that is better for us. Again, my mantra is everything is happening for my best and highest good. And so it doesn't mean every time a shiny thing shows up, I run to it, but I hold it in my consciousness for a moment and allow it and allow my higher self to know whether this is right for a change or not. Excuse me. So in short, failure points to the possibility that there is always something new or more or better, right? And as we can learn to make that a regular part of our life, then we discover blessings where we didn't notice them before. And we tend to therefore evolve in ways that we didn't think were either possible or likely. Going back to Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes says, "We are bound by nothing except belief." It's a very simple but a powerful quote. We are bound by nothing except belief. So let us contemplate that idea, because in other words, what we believe about failure, okay, we are bound by. Do we see it as prison chains? That ball and chain just weighing us down? Do we see it as something unchangeable? What is failing for you? Think of a time when you failed. Maybe failed big. Star kind of brought this idea already up again in her meditation. It was perfect and in alignment with this talk. What does that failure feel like to you? When things didn't go your way, what does that feel like? Could have been a marriage, could have been a class, could have been a job, could have been a relationship, coulda. There's a lot of and ample opportunities to think about failure. And when you fail, does it make you feel like a failure? Because I want to if I have to hammer any point home today, this is going to be it, because it really aligns with our philosophy. Failing, this idea of failing, is an event. That's all it is. It's a course of action that happened. Failure is a mindset that is detrimental to what we want. If I have this mindset, right, this means my thoughts, my beliefs, my actions, in other words, my attitude is I'm a failure, then what am I attracting into my life? What am I telling life to, hey, this is who I am, and life's going to say, okay, every time. It's not a punishment, right? It is literally cause and effect. I'm putting out certain vibrations, certain thoughts, beliefs, and what we know in our philosophy is whatever we give out, we get back, multiplied. So we're going to have a lot of challenges back to show us, hey, yes, in fact, you are a failure. That's not because life doesn't love us, because it does. And this is the purpose of evolving to the level of consciousness that we understand how powerful we are. Yes, that which we call God is greater in that sense. But in this finite body, with this individualized consciousness, if I say I'm a whatever, then I am. And life will show up with people, places, and events, and to prove yes, every single time. So going back to that, failing, all it is an event. And if it's simply an event, a result, then we give meaning to that. But what happens is we accept everybody else's meaning. And so how should I feel? Oh, I failed my test. Oh, I should immediately start crying and bawling and feel bad for myself. That's what we do. Why? That's what we've learned. But this is not what our philosophy teaches, right? It teaches us to go in, and maybe we have picked that up. This is not wrong. But through the power of science of mind, through the power of conscious awareness, whatever you want to call it, when we recognize something, that means we have the ability to change it. Okay? We just heard from Ernest Holmes say that we are bounded by our beliefs. So if we believe again that we are a failure, just ask yourself, how will that show up? Maybe ask, how has it been showing up? Does it always seem like you just can't get there? Does it always seem like it's just out of reach? Does it always seem too good to be true? That's the failure mindset. Well, we're going to change that. But to back up that point, Ernest Holmes also says this. He says the mind is a magnet, and we attract that which we identify the self. So what does that mean? That means, again, law of attraction is happening. That which I identify with, you know what? And it's so easy to talk about what's going wrong. And let's be honest, our news isn't even news anymore. Nothing about positive anyway. It's just going to rehash what's going on. And if there's not bad enough news in my town, they're going to pull in something else from another town just to make me feel, why even try? Look at all around you. The world is in chaos. It's failing. Or is it failing forward? So this idea is crucial to understand that, yes, we can fail, and we can also change our mindset about failing so that we fail forward. Now, do you want to fail forward? Most people go, I don't want to fail at all. But again, that means I'm still looking at failure as a negative. But failure, as Albert Einstein says, he says failure is success in progress. Let me say that again. Failure is success in progress. We really, how many times do we sit down and get it right the first time? And even if we got a quote right, that we don't have to improve on it at all. So maybe, again, as we give ourselves permission to change the meaning of what failing is, then we give ourselves to change the results of what shows up. Okay. So within that, when we're giving that effort, that divine effort, that courageous effort, when we recognize our worthiness, our power, there is hope. And Ernest Holmes says this in order to give us hope. He says, know that nothing can hinder you but yourself. If you believe you can, you can. And this quote reminds me of the Henry Ford quote about doing. So what does this say again? It says we need to trust in ourselves, and not just in the small self, but we are living gods, right? The heaven and earth is right here. When I say gods, I don't mean plural in the sense of, outside. No, there is only one life happening, but it is happening through me. And I am a perfect image and emanation of that divine. Therefore, what it is, I am. And all not all, but what I choose to do is open my mind to that infinite power and simply direct it. And we direct it with our thoughts and beliefs. And what I'm asking today is this idea of changing how we simply look at negative things happening to us. And again, when we're talking about work, there's a lot of opportunity to think about that, right? A funny quote, George Carlin says, in failing, he says, if you try to fail and succeed, what have you done? Let me say that again. If you try to fail and succeed, then what have you done? Are you a failure? Are you a success, right? It's a funny way of looking at it. And I share that with you because it gives us permission. This doesn't have to be a painful thing to change how we look at failure. You know, it doesn't have to be a tough, just go, you know what, all right, I did my best. We did our best. We can't do better than that. Then what can I learn from this? I failed a test. I planted something and it died. What can I learn from it? Right? What can I learn? Where is there opportunity? Because that's what we're going to shift into. Right? Now that we know that we can consider failure as something to be changed, then we can also look at it as an opportunity that shows up at the right, perfect time for us. It could be a chance to reevaluate something. It could be a chance to redo something in a better way or come back stronger, so to speak, right? And one benefit is as we give ourselves permission to keep trying, to keep failing, knowing that it's part of the process, then generally, most of the times we keep doing things, we get better and we get better and we get to experience the joy of getting better. So there's the opportunity. And also, depending on if we're doing this for ourselves, our work, if it's just for ourselves, that's great. But we know that our work serves others. And so we know that the better we do, right, the more we get out of our own way, the more we can share our talents and abilities and strengths with others, and they benefit from that as well. Again, we're focusing on wonder, but we're focusing at our work. Again, our work, and I say work in that quotes because I don't want to limit it to just our profession. Again, it's our creative expression. And again, we know with work, there's like a million opportunities to fail. Always. We may miss a deadline. We may do something out of alignment with what was asked. You know, we thought it was a good idea, but it turns out maybe it wasn't. Or was it? Right? It may seem like a failure first, but where is the opportunity to learn, to grow, to be better? And when that happens to us, when failure happens to us, how do we bounce back? Ask yourself that. Because I'm sure also, as much as we can think and call up a failure, a major failure in our life, that we can also think of a significant failure, but how we bounce back from it. So little, I want to give us 10 seconds to think about that. That I have failed at something, but I remember too that caused me to bounce back and somehow recognize a greater strength within me. It's there, right? And this idea of what I likened it to is, in a sense, the bigger the failure, the bigger the opportunity. Right? If we get out of our way of calling ourselves bad, poor, unworthy, a failure, then we can simply go, wow, that was huge. But man, what happens when I turn this around? How is that going to feel? So sometimes I believe that life sets us up through a failure for that bounce back to experience something that we were maybe looking for, or maybe in a sense needing for us to then move us even further down the road. So you can question and get to know the parts and pieces of your failures, and therefore allow each piece to be a blessing. To be a blessing when we try it again. And sometimes, it comes in pieces. We don't always go, oh, there's the big picture. This is what I had to learn. Sometimes it comes slow. Sometimes slow as in multiple stages. And sometimes it just comes slow, meaning the answer, the lesson of what we have to learn. And is our mindset open and allowing that to happen? A great book, if you've never read it, is called Care of the Soul It's by author Thomas More. I could go into him for a while. I've read it a couple of times. But he has a great quote, and I wanted to share. And he says this. He says, if we do not grasp this alchemy of failure, then we stand a good chance of never succeeding. Comprehending the mystery in failure and acknowledging its necessity allows us to see through our inabilities and not overly identify with them. I want to say that part again. It allows us to see through our inabilities and not to overly identify with them. By appreciating failure with imagination, we reconnect to its success. What a great quote right there, that one. By appreciating failure with imagination, we reconnect it to success. So again, it's not going to do it for us. This is a mindset. This is something that if you're not there, we change to. We desire to be that. I desire to be imaginative in my own failures. Can I get, as he says, that smallness? I don't want to overly identify with it. Yes, I did that. I have to take responsibility, right? That's what he's saying. We're not just going, oh, well, it happened. Let me learn the lesson and move forward, because then we're not getting the full experience of it, right? Take radical responsibility. Yes, I did that. Why? Because you also want to have the radical opportunities to come and radical blessings to be a part of your life through that. A great quote on success is by Winston Churchill. He says, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Boom. That's a mic drop right there. I can end it. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. So no matter how hard it may feel, we need to stay willing. We need to be open to understanding that failure may simply mean there is, again, another opportunity just around the horizon or over the horizon. Can we take the opportunity to wonder, to use wonder, and wonder maybe what it could be, and then allow it to be so? That's how we use the imagination, right? It's not here yet, but I can use my mind, and I'm closing my eyes because I want to go inside to where that perfect infinite power is and just play with it. This is what I'd love it to show up as, right? And then know that I have the courage to take the steps, and know that life will give me the steps, one step at a time. And this allows us in this third opportunity to bounce back, right? To be more resilient when failure shows up. Now, this is important. Resilience is not resistance. Two different words, right? Resistance is saying, oh, I don't know if I say I did this, what's going to happen? Well, by not saying you're doing something, we don't learn the lesson. And we know that history just will repeat itself until we do. And it'll show up in different ways through different people at different times. Now, sometimes the lesson of failure is not to make success certain, because, again, it's showing us how to fail. Like, how do we handle when we fail at something? Failure. This did not work out. That is a failure. How do we handle that? We have to learn how to do that. And if we are open to it, a single instance of failure can teach us more than a lifetime of success. Wonder allows us to detach from the outcome and explore, I guess, with more curiosity, and in that, trust that the process will unfold. So that's what wonder does. It puts us that part of wonder that is the question of, how is this going to show up? What can I learn from this? There's wonder in that. That is the divine spirit. It's all there, trying to reveal itself in another way to us, right? And by doing it, using this, let me use that word, we become more resilient to the negative aspects of failure, and then truly put ourselves in alignment and allowing each failure to give us its feedback on what the next perfect idea is. As a spiritual practice, understanding and using wonder can simply allow us and show us the divine plan that's behind everything, because we know it's there. If we go back again, it was such a beautiful meditation, a perfect meditation. Thank you again, Star. that, if we removed everything that we thought was in our way and just gave that up, what's there? Well, now we have the freedom to use our mind, and we know we are ultimately and all creative, right? And it can make the difference between where we are and where we want to be or go or create what we want to create. It makes it that much more exciting. Particularly when, it's even probably the most fun to me is when I have this idea in my mind and it does show up that way. But that's not most of the time. Most of the time it takes a curve or whatever, and it ends up with the experience that I wanted to have anyway. Another great quote I wanted to share by Robert Browning, and it's as powerful. It says, "A minute's success pays the failure of years." Right? So we can be struggling for years, but the minute we taste that success, that we're there, that we're on top of that hill, we've climbed that mountain, man, it makes up for it. And that's one of the things that drives me. It is because I know, again, why? Because life is always happening for my best and highest good, then I'm on the right path. And if I'm not, life will show up to alter it. And it may alter it through failures. You keep trying to do this, Joe, and you're not listening. You're not paying attention. You're not so boom, something happens, it shifts me to this way. At first, I may be like, oh, what happened? This is horrible. And then you go, oh, wait, there's opportunity here. Scott Aubrey, I share a number of his quotes. He says this. I'm going to wait for it to come up there. Thank you, Chris. He says, "I hold in high regard the descents in my life experience. In the midst of setbacks or so-called failures, I gather my inner resources, give thanks for lessons learned, and see my journey as bright with hope and charged with potential." Whoa, I like that. Bright with hope and charged with potential. I can do all things with clarity, commitment, and a deep sense of trust. Yeah, you're going to want to come back and write these quotes down later on, I am sure. So I have a story that I want to share with you. You may have heard it before, but it's a beautiful story called The Cracked Pot. And it goes like this. It says, a water bearer in India had two large pots, each hung on each side on the end of a pole, which he carried across his neck. One of the pots had a crack in it, and while the other pot was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water at the end of the long walk from the stream to the master's house, the cracked pot arrived only half full. For a full 2 years, this went on daily, with the bearer delivering only 1.5 pots of water in his master's house. Of course, the perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments, perfect to the end for which it was made. But the poor cracked pot was ashamed of its own imperfections and miserable that it was able to accomplish only half of what it had been made to do. After 2 years of what perceived to be a bitter failure, it spoke to the water bearer one day by the stream. It said, "I am ashamed of myself, and I want to apologize to you." The bearer asked, "Why? What are you ashamed of?" The pot replied, "For these past 2 years, I'm able to deliver only half of my load because this crack in my side causes water to leak out all the way back to your master's house. Because of my flaws, you don't get full value for your efforts." The water bearer felt sorry for the old cracked pot, and in his compassion, he said, "As we return to the master's house, I want you to notice the beautiful flowers along the path." As they went up the hill, the old cracked pot took notice of the sun warming the beautiful wildflowers on the side of the path, and this cheered it somewhat. But at the end of the trail, it still felt bad because it had leaked out half its load. And so again, it apologized to the bearer for its failure. The bearer said to the pot, "Did you notice that there were flowers only on your side of the path, but not on the other pot's side? That's because I have always known about your flaw, and I took advantage of it. I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, and every day while we walk back from the stream, you've watered them. For 2 years, I have been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate my master's table. Without you just being the way you are, he would not have this beauty to grace his house." Right? Again, we could do it. I could do a whole talk on that. So all I know is that this thing called God and life knows exactly who we are and uses all of our so-called talents and all of our so-called flaws and imperfections to perfection. To perfection. We are that. All right. So let's finish with our affirmation. Again, it is the energy that we're putting behind these words. So let's say it strongly together. I persevere with the strength of spirit within me. I persevere with the with the strength of spirit within me. Now, before I go into prayer, and I know I'm watching the time, I know where I do want to recognize that tomorrow begins a holy time for our Jewish friends called Rosh Hashanah. And I do have a slide, Rosh Hashanah. This is the Jewish New Year. And it commemorates the creation of the world and marks the beginning of what they call the Days of Awe, which is a 10-day period a 10-day period of introspection and repentance that culminates in Yom Kippur holiday, which is for them also known as the Day of Atonement. And I wanted to share, if you have any Jewish friends, if you want to say Happy New Year to them, you could say, I hope I do this right. To me, I'm just going to read it phonetically, is Shana Tova, right? So we are all inclusive and we recognize our Jewish family and friends and community. So let us celebrate that love of a new year and looking back and introspection, which is a tool we use all the time in our philosophy as well. All right. So concluding this this Sunday talk, not service, but talk with prayer. What I know to be true in that moment is that failure is in itself a blessing. That it is truly a part of the process of recognizing what we call the experience of success. And that I know the truth is that in the failure and in the success, it is all God in back of it all. It is not only the failure, it is not only the success, it is the entire process of it. For it is just simply experienced itself in a new and perfect way through me, through every me that is listening right here, right now. And what I know is we are that courage to move forward right now. We have a mindset of strength, that which is in me, the power, the presence, is stronger than anything that is outside of me. And as I know what it is that I want to experience, I declare it. And I know that it may take a few attempts, it may take a few years, but it is the path that is the most important, the journey that is most important. And I enjoy every success throughout my day. I don't wait for years. I am successful every day. And I fail every day. And that is okay. Because I am doing my best. I know that I learn my lesson. And that I am just open for the new opportunities truly to love at a deeper level. And to see and experience that love everywhere I go. I know that love is right here, right now, in our community, in St. George, and around the world, and that we are experiencing that together as one. And so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Joe. That was beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate
Lots of
that.
good quotes in there.
And you set me up with that meditation, so thank you.
Collaborators at heart. Yay. Okay. We are going to do some announcements now to all you lovelies out there listening. We are having an in-person gathering on Saturday, October 15th. To be announced is our quote right now. We're not sure where it's going to be, but I know it's going to be good. So mark your calendars for October 15th. And CSL St. George Book Club is having a new lesson, Things with Sue Fulmer. God is Bigger Than the Bible. Wow. Yes, he is. Yes, she is. Yes, it is. Sign up for that. And also register for Join the Zoom Convo. This is a series being put on by Marina Anderson and Bill Smith. It is Let Us Have a Conversation about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's going to be starting Wednesday, October 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. on Zoom. So register for that. We want to hear from you. We have a community care circle. It provides compassionate support through calls, cards, and prayers. There's a phone number here that you can leave a message. All your messages are answered. And we have prayer requests that you can give to our practitioners if you want support for any circumstances in your life. You can email your request to prayer@cslstgeorge.org. Tithes and offerings. Give online with PayPal. The link is on our website, CSLSGeorge.org. Or you can use your phone to take a picture of what is it called? Anyway, thank you for your generosity. You can give by mail. You can give by a new way called Zelle. All of this is in our newsletter, and spread the love. We, in turn, spread the love ourselves. So what goes around comes around, and we really appreciate your offerings and your tithes. Join our community conversation, and if you have an issue or a circumstance in your life that you would like time with our practitioner of the day, it is Bill Smith, and it's on our Zoom call. We will sequester you in a private room where just the two of you, so it's very, very private. And yes, he will be honored to help you out. In our upcoming Sundays, we have our Reverend Joe swimming in the infinite ocean. Ooh, that sounds good. And then following that, we have our wonderful Steph Swink following it up with Let It Flow. Yes, let it flow. Okay, we're going to bring everybody back on. We're going to do a closing affirmation here. Here we all come. And Bill, there we go. All right. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all that I do.
I am it. I embrace it, and I share it.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it is becoming. Thank you, life.
Woohoo!
Thank every one of you. Join us in 7 minutes for our talk.
See you there.
All righty.